You know that person who goes completely quiet when something hurts them. The one who says, "I'm fine," and means, "Please don't make me explain this right now." The one who shuts the door, not on you, but on something they haven't figured out how to say yet. If that's you, you've probably been told you're difficult, cold, emotionally unavailable. You've probably heard, "Just talk to me," more times than you can count, and felt something lock up inside you every single time. But here's what nobody ever tells you. That silence isn't a flaw. It isn't immaturity. According to psychology, what your brain does when you're hurting is one of the most sophisticated emotional responses a human nervous system can produce. And the fact that nobody explained it to you doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means most people simply don't have the language for it yet. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to understand yourself in a way you never quite have before. Let's start with what everyone gets completely wrong. When you go quiet, people assume it's a choice, like you sat down, ran the options, and decided, "I'll just shut them out," like it's strategic, a power move, something you're doing to them. But that's not what's happening inside you at all, is it? Think about the last time you got hurt by someone you cared about. Something in your chest tightened. Words became harder to find. The idea of opening your mouth and trying to explain something you hadn't even fully processed yourself felt genuinely impossible. Not difficult, impossible. That's not you being difficult. That's your nervous system doing exactly what it was wired to do. There's a region in the brain responsible for producing language. Research has found that it goes quieter during emotional flooding. So when someone is standing in front of you saying, "Just tell me what's wrong," and nothing is coming out, that's not stubbornness. Your brain has literally made language harder to access because it's doing something more urgent, keeping you together. You're not shutting people out, you're holding yourself in. And there's a massive difference between those two things. If something in you just exhaled, reading that, hit like. It takes 1 second. But it tells the algorithm this found the right person and helps it reach someone else who needed it too. Here's the thing that changes everything, and most people never hear it. This didn't start recently. You weren't born like this. Babies cry without hesitation. Toddlers fall apart in the middle of a grocery store without one thought about whether it's appropriate. Children express pain loudly, openly, and without apology, until something teaches them not to. At some point, something taught you that expressing hurt out loud wasn't safe. Maybe you cried and were told to stop being so sensitive. Maybe you opened up completely to someone you trusted, and they minimized it, laughed at it, or used it against you later. Maybe expressing how you felt didn't lead to being held. It led to a lecture. And so you did the only logical thing. You adapted. You learned that feeling out loud kept costing you something. So you stopped. Not because you stopped feeling, but because the price was too high. And here's where it gets deeper than most people realize. That response you built, it's not dysfunction. It has a name. Attachment researchers have spent decades studying what happens when early emotional experiences teach us that vulnerability leads to more pain. What they keep finding is that the nervous system doesn't forget those lessons. It files them away and pulls them out every single time something hurts, even decades later, even with completely different people. And here's what most people completely miss about you. While everyone else sees stillness, your brain is anything but still. Picture this. The conversation is escalating, emotions are flying, and you've gone completely quiet. But inside, you're running at full speed. Researchers who looked at what happens in the brains of people who go quiet under stress found something remarkable. The regions tied to self-reflection, memory, and long-term consequence are significantly more active than average during that silence. Your stillness isn't emptiness, it's depth. What's actually running through your mind sounds something like this. Did I cause this? Have I felt this before? What is this really about? What do I want to happen next? If I say something now, will it come out the way I mean it? Or will it make everything worse? You're not avoiding the problem. You're stress testing every angle of it before a single word leaves your mouth. Because for you, speaking before you truly understand what you feel carries real risk. You've seen what happens when words come out wrong. But there's one more layer here that most people overlook entirely. The silence itself, the act of processing quietly before speaking, isn't just a coping mechanism. Researchers studying interoception, which is basically your brain's ability to read your own internal states, have found that people who go quiet under emotional stress often have a highly developed internal signal system. They feel things more precisely, not less. The problem isn't that they can't access their emotions. The problem is that they feel them so specifically, so textured and layered, that translating all of that into words in real time feels genuinely reductive, like trying to describe a full piece of music by humming 4 notes. The silence isn't a wall. It's the time it takes to find the right translation. Now let's get specific, because people who go quiet when hurt don't all do it the same way. Based on what tends to drive the silence, there are 3 types, and most people watching this are going to recognize themselves in one of them immediately. The first is the deep processor. You know that feeling when your inner monologue absolutely never stops? Even when your face is completely blank? That's you. Your brain is running multiple simultaneous threads, analyzing what happened, searching your memory for patterns, calculating what a response might cost you. The silence looks like absence, but it's actually the busiest mental state you ever enter. The second is the burned opener. You used to talk, you used to share, and then at some point, someone took what you gave them and used it as ammunition, maybe more than once. So the silence isn't natural. It was constructed, brick by brick, hurt by hurt. It's not that you don't want to open up. It's that you remember exactly what happened the last time you did. The third is the protector. Your silence isn't just about you. Part of it, maybe most of it, is about them. You know what lives at the bottom of that silence, when the pain is fresh, and you know that if you open your mouth before you've processed it, what comes out won't be a conversation. It'll be something that can't be taken back. So you hold it, not to punish, but because you care enough about the relationship to not blow it apart in a moment of unfiltered pain. Which one are you? Drop it in the comments. Even one word is enough. I read every single one. And here's the painful irony, and this one stings a little. The thing that would actually help you open up is almost always the exact opposite of what you get. People push. They follow you. They say you can't just shut me out. And every single time that happens, it confirms the thing you've quietly believed for years, that your way of processing isn't valid. That your emotions are only acceptable if they're immediate, verbal, and available on someone else's schedule. What you actually need, and this is hard to ask for, is patience without pressure. Someone who can sit in the discomfort of your silence and trust that you'll come back. Someone who doesn't make your stillness about them right now. Someone you know is going through this exact thing and doesn't have words for it yet. You do now. If a face came to mind just then, share this with them. Sometimes the kindest message isn't typed. It's a video that says it for you. And here's something that barely anyone says out loud. The misreading costs you something too. When the people closest to you keep interpreting your silence as indifference, as punishment, as not caring, it doesn't just frustrate you, it isolates you, because you know exactly how much you care. You're silent precisely because you care so much you don't trust yourself to speak yet. But from the outside, it looks like the opposite, and carrying that gap between who you actually are and how you keep getting read is genuinely exhausting. You've spent years being the most thoughtful person in the room and being perceived as the coldest one. And here's the thing worth sitting with, the thing that doesn't get said nearly enough. Because you don't speak until you're ready. When the words finally come, they mean everything. You've turned them over 100 times. You've checked them for accuracy, for fairness, for truth. You don't say things you don't mean. You don't throw accusations just to watch them land. When you finally tell someone how you feel, it isn't a reaction, it's a conclusion. And that is genuinely rare. In a world where people say everything immediately and mean maybe half of it, you say less and mean all of it. That's not emotional unavailability. That's a nervous system that learned to protect what matters. You are not cold. You are not broken. You are not too much or somehow not enough. You are someone who feels things deeply and takes the time to understand them before speaking. And in a world that rewards whoever reacts fastest and loudest, that quiet, careful, considered way of moving through pain will always be misread by the wrong people. But the right people will learn to sit in your silence without fear. They'll learn that your stillness isn't distance, it's presence, the deepest, most considered kind. If this felt like someone finally handed you the language for something you've been carrying a long time, subscribe, not because algorithms need it, because the next one might be the piece you've been missing. Some things stay quiet for years until one day someone gives them a name, and suddenly you're not carrying it alone anymore. The next video is going to hit you harder than this one. Click it, you'll understand why.